Hi, in this episode, we're going to continue the work we've been doing on this LinkedIn ads audit application for Speedwork Social. We've gotten to a point where we've been using DocDD, documentation driven development. Um, and we've got the basic flow where you can log in on LinkedIn and then you can have the survey or the audit run where it pulls in your ad account information and then we'll evaluate you. And we were looking at adding some testing for the scoring part because that's the secret sauce of the application. And we're going to be iterating on that. And then we've had a dev agent running, helping us get the dev side done. And we've had a product owner agent running doing comparing an Excel file which has the client, the CEO of Speedwork Social, Anthony Blantner, had given me the rules in an Excel file, and then he ended up refining that a bit. And so I've been going through iteration after iteration of having the agent create our rules that we're going to use for documentation driven development in this data folder here, where we're creating the business logic. So here's this file here that has all the business logic in it and the rules. And then we're comparing that to the raw CSVs down here. So that's the idea. That's the approach. The other thing I've been doing, this UI looks okay, but we want something that looks better than that. So I had gone in and we, in the first episode, had created a custom project in Claude projects, this LinkedIn ads audit product owner. But what I did is I gave it a prompt asking it to give me a lovable prompt to design this application. So give me a lovable prompt that describes our application and helps come up with a design that will match Speedwork style, which is a client we're building this project for, but have a modern, clean, award-winning design. It came back and gave me this long prompt that I was able to copy. And it's good that I did this offline because it took a little while for everything to crunch through. And then I came into to Lovable, and I shared this. How do I get the chat open? I shared that prompt here. It's the same prompt on the other side. It took about 5 minutes or so, and it created this really nice looking. I think this is good enough. We'll show it to the client. We can iterate on it with Anthony. You can click the buttons and see the all the different steps here. It's done a wizard here that allows you to select, put your name and select your. So we had it as one page in our app. I think it looks fantastic. And then once it does the audit, it's got this dynamic page that looks really nice. I think the whole thing looks great. One thing I need to check. Let me check real quick. Is this built using Shadcn and Tailwind ? That's what we're using on the other side, I believe. So then this is now in a repository over here. I did that by linking. If you go to Lovable settings, you can find a GitHub setting under there, and you can connect your GitHub account, and then it'll create a repository. And so I'll show you at some point how we'll get this design into our application. But that's where we are in the process right now. And so if you've been following along, you know that we're using these best practices files here, which teach our agents how to create stories, which are epics and stories, which are the descriptions of the features we're going to build. And then once we've created them, there's an 8-step-ish process that we use to do the stories. I could actually let's just do a table of contents here. I use this thing called the all-in-one markdown plugin for Visual Studio Code that allows you to create. So here's the table of contents for this particular file. But the table of contents allows us at a glance to see what the steps are. We have get next task, ask clarifying questions. This is instructions for the agents. Code the task, request a review and verification. If we look at that one, that is going to tell it to ask the prompting engineer to review and verify. So what we're doing is telling it to get the task, ask any clarifying questions only when they're necessary. Otherwise, it'll ask you a bunch of questions. Code the task, and then ask us to verify it's correct. Once it's correct, it'll run the test that we have, like integration tests and unit tests and stuff like that. We don't have a ton of those, but we have some. Update tests. Actually, I don't know if we have any right now. In another project, I have some. Pardon me. It'll update the task status in the documentation, stage the changes, and then it ends the session with a continuation prompt. And that prompt allows us to continue our work. And so that's the flow we've been going in, just kind of on autopilot, reviewing the work that the agents are doing. So if I come back over here, let's go ahead and take a look at our dev agent. It's come through, and we should have a continuation prompt here somewhere, but I'll just ask it for. Let me see if we have any code that's not checked in. Huh. I wonder what we did there. Oh, that's just now. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and add that to whatever the last commit was. And I use the amend command in GitHub for that, which I can never remember. So I always just search the history with Control R. So that's an amend that'll add it to the last commit. So now, can you give me the continuation prompt for continuing this work? I'm using WhisperFlow there to dictate. I highly recommend this tool, as I have throughout the series here. And then with our product owner, the business rules, a lot of these are just spacing and non-interesting type stuff. So I don't want to flag any rules or discrepancies that are not logical discrepancies. We just need to make sure that the business logic is clearly defined. Can you update your analysis based on that? So we'll have our product owner it's done it 5 reviews. And as it does its reviews, it's updating no, I'm sorry. In the data folder, we have a here. It's showing the changelog, how many times we've reviewed this information. So I have it grading itself essentially. Okay. So now on the dev side, here's our continuation prompt. So continue LinkedIn ads audit development on branch feature, follow AI agent flow. So latest fixed LinkedIn API, created E5 results dashboard, audit results, UI polish story. Okay. So for the review the docs, work on the UI polish story. So we're on the UI polish story. What I'm going to do here is in our docs, I'm going to add a new folder called design. Is it a mockup or a wireframe? It's a mockup, right? And then we're going to go ahead and get the design. We can just download it as a zip, actually. So I'll download it as a zip. And then I'm going to take that zip here and we'll unzip it. We'll copy it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to paste, if I can actually copy. So maybe I'll have to drag because it won't let me do the copy paste. So now we have our LinkedIn ads in here as a sub repository. I'm going to just keep it in here. So what I want to do is let our agent know. So we're going to add this in here. No, I'm going to update the requirements and then we'll just use the same continuation prompt. That's one way we can do it. So review. This folder contains a lovable generated UI that is the UI that I want to use. We might need to update our requirements because there's some buttons that we might not have in our current design. But the goal is to have our current code using the design in this folder. I'd like you to start by reviewing the design. And then it feels like we would probably want to create a style sheet to work off of. And then we need to create a plan that is consistent with, see, I'm putting the user story best practices for doing this work. We just created a UI polish task, but we might want to create an epic for the UI update instead. Go ahead and review what I've given you and then ask any clarifying questions you need to ask for us to be able to have a smooth application of this new design to our current app. Looks like they have all of the Shadcn components already. I'm going to tell it to make sure we reuse as much code as possible. And let's just get the app working as it currently does without merging the two apps, but within our app. Okay. Design system summary. Okay. We already created with 2 stories. This is the way I want to approach the refactor. For step 1, I want to, or first of all, our most important principle is that we want to reuse as much code as possible from the mockup. And step 1, I'd like to move over as much code as we can from the mockup into our main app and get the mockup working the same way it does now in our main app, which is where it's not connected to anything and there's just two separate apps. There's our working app, which we've gotten the integrations done and we've done all this LinkedIn integration work and business logic, etc. And that's one app that you can open. And then the other app is just the mockup. And the mockup looks exactly the same and reuses as much code as possible. Once we get that done, then I want to start refactoring our current app so that we can reuse the integration code, the business logic code, etc., and wire it into the view code of the mockup. Ask any clarifying questions about the proposed plan going forward. Let me know if you think there's a better option to get us there as quick as possible. Again, Whisperflow to the rescue. There's no way I would have typed all that out. Your approach is solid. This is essentially a port first, integrate second strategy that minimizes risk and allows incremental validation. Let me verify a few technical details before I ask clarifying questions. So it's reviewing. Okay, that's what we have here. Now I understand the technical landscape. Here's my findings and questions. During phase one, should the mockup pages be accessible at separate routes? So one would be yes, we want separate routes. Separate routes. Okay. Two, Tailwind version, downgrade main app, upgrade mockup. Why don't we do the easier port and we'll go to Tailwind 3? I wonder if that's going to affect the design. No, it wouldn't because we'd be on Tailwind 3. So we'll do the easier. We'll do the downgrade. Shadcn. Should I install Shadcn UI in the main app as part of phase one? This will add, yes, why not? Which pages to port first? Suggested order. Okay, we'll just use their suggestion. Questions I won't ask per your based on your reuse as much as possible principle. I'll assume. I love that. It's not asking questions that it can make a recommendation. Keep mockups 4 categories for now so we can add a 5th later. Keep all CTAs as is, wire them up in phase 2. Keep Speedwork social branding. Keep multi-step profile wizard design. Is that correct, or should we ask about these sessions? For branding, let's not change it. We'll have Speedworks in the new app, and I believe the old one just has LinkedIn. Uh, let's see. Yeah, and the mock up doesn't have Speedworks yet. Okay. Let's see how our product owner is doing. No logical discrepancies found. Okay, it looks like yes. Let's update the audit log with session 5 results. So that means we would be ready to have this reviewed by Anthony. Port mockup separate routes. Okay, that looks right. Phase 1. Wire up integrations. Proposed epic structure. UI. Whoa. Okay. Guess it's okay. So redesign epic. Yep. Okay, this looks good to me. It's given us story points. That's funny. 32 points. That would be like a dev team for a full sprint. Let's see how long it takes us. Delete existing results. Dashboard epic folder. Create a new UI. Should I create this epic structure now? Yes. Create it. Wait, let me see something here. Should we be on a new branch at this point? I know the answer to that. Let's see. Yes, we should. We are currently on the foundation epic with uncommitted changes. Commit the design mock recommended approach. Create a new branch, or if you prefer, create the main branch from. I'm going to go ahead and take care of this myself. So actually, I'll tell it to do it. Let's go ahead and create a PR for the current branch. We'll merge that to main, or I'll take care of that in GitHub. And then we can delete that branch locally. And when we merge, it'll delete it on GitHub. And then after the branch is deleted, we'll create a new branch for this work. For those of you who aren't super familiar with Git and branching and all that, we're following a process right here that's it's very close to Git flow. And you can just Google that to learn more about it. It's outside the scope of this this video. Atlassian has a good thing on it, but basically the part that's important to us is I like creating a feature branch for each piece of work that I'm doing. So here, this is showing your main branch and your develop branch. And then whenever this is main, this is develop, and whenever you're working on a feature, you just come off some point on dev and you create a feature branch, and then you'll eventually merge that feature branch back down. Um, there's different ways. There's trunk-based development, which is more popular now, but I'm just going to do get flow for now. So it just pushed our branch. This will be interesting too, because it should deploy to Vercel once we do this. I also have a GH command line so it can create the PRs for me. And there's the GH tool doing the PR. So it should give us the link to the PR, but we can also that was the link there. Yeah, so here's the PR. We got a nice description. We're aiming at main. There's a whole bunch of files changed. So for this particular project, I'm going to be using a lot of testing approaches to make sure that the code is working good, and then I'll refactor and review later. But if you were, say, working in a brownfield project with existing code, and you wanted to be like really sure that the code patterns are good and all that kind of stuff, this is where I would do that review. Where we're at now is we've merged the PR, and I've got the agent working on creating our epic. I cleaned up the branches locally and pulled the latest from main. And we're going through and creating all of the stories. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to rename this to PO1, and then rename this to dev, and then so we can get started, and then I'll just clear this one out. And so this product owner is working on our tickets. I'm going to grab our AI agent. I'm going to copy the relative path, the workflow best practices, and tell this one that using our best practices, let's start on this epic. Note that another agent is finishing the stories in this epic, but we can start on the early stories. Okay, so we'll get it working on that. And then coming back over to our product owner, it's creating all these stories. I'm not sure. I think I showed y'all the way it looks, but I think it looks great. This is it right here. I created it using Lovable, and just by asking our custom GPT project to give me the Lovable prompt, and it's just built out a really nice looking UI. I think it looks great. I love the colors. This is actually, if you look at Speedworks, this is their orange they use. That's Anthony right there, as you know. And it's got this great little dynamic page for doing the scoring. And so let's check in our dev. Good, we're on this branch. The untracked files are in the epics. Okay. Product owner's got another story ready to go. I'm going to be anal and get rid of that one because I don't like that. And I'll switch the order. Can I do that? There we go. Okay, our dev is now going in and installing. It's downgrading our Tailwind. Product owner is still cranking through stories. Okay, now it's starting to do some of the code changes. We should be working on this first epic here. I'm sorry, this first story. Downgrade Tailwind, updating our Tailwind configs. Okay, now it's creating some utils. Okay, it's doing significant updates to our global CSS. That's interesting. Yeah, our app's broken right now, I'm assuming. All right. It's creating a components.json. It's aliasing that to components UI. I want to see the command it's running. You can do Control-0 or Control-O for that, I believe. Okay, it's finished installing all the components. And now it's working on creating a test page here, a mock page. Let's see what that page looks like. Where did it create it? Might be mockup. Hey, look at that. Got a whole new paint job already. Up like that. Hey, look at this. Looks pretty good to me. So that's a really good approach that we've come up with here. Step one, we're just getting everything set up. Then we created this mockup page, which should look like our, where is it at? This is our Lovable page. the design we're aiming for. And what we've created so far is all the components. So it's created a test page that shows all the components and the colors, and that looks like they are from the same design system to me. So I feel like that's success. Okay, I think that's a great stopping point for this episode. We didn't finish the full UI yet, but we were able to get all of the components that we need and the library sorted out. We have a page that shows everything we're going to use, all of the colors. It's a really good step off point for our next episode. So now that we have this solid foundation, the next episode, we're going to start taking that design system and fleshing out the actual UX that we need and adding the LinkedIn ad audit logic. For those of you that have made it for this far along, you might want to like and subscribe so you can get my future content. And then the next episode, we should be able to wrap this up and see the working prototype. Thanks so much for tuning in.